Well, it's hard to believe our elected officials have lives outside the House of Commons, but in this week's Commons Folk, we have the chance to visit the Canadian Aviation Space Museum with a VP who's very familiar with a plane that is the mainstay of the Canadian Forces Transport Fleet. We are here at the Canadian Aviation Museum with Karen McCrimmon. She is a Liberal MP for Canada Carleton, but more importantly, she has a very interesting life story to tell, and that explains why we're here. Let's talk about this plane in the background. You flew this baby.
Oh, yes. 307, she's got over 40,000 hours. She's got lots of flying time. And I don't have a lot of hours on 307.
Where'd you fly it? Was it
in the Arctic.
Oh, wow.
In the Arctic. We used to do search and rescue in the Arctic. We used to do resupply in the Arctic. So she spent a lot of time up north.
Now, you were a commander of a squadron, a flying squadron.
That's right.
What does that entail? I mean, you're a pilot in a plane. How are you commanding? I guess you're commanding everybody.
Well, you're responsible for looking after everybody to make sure that they are all at their best peak performance to get the job done. And when you deploy on an operation, then you've got all your maintenance that comes with you. You have all the people that load your airplane and get it ready to go flying.
Yeah.
And you've got to coordinate all that activity and get them up in the air doing the job they were made to do.
All right, this is more interesting than anything to do about politics. So tell us, what was your most dramatic adventure on any aircraft as a commander?
I think probably doing an airlift for the World Food Program, and we were going into Albania and Macedonia.
Wow.
And the skies were really crowded, and they were crowded with friendlies and not so friendlies. So trying to coordinate with the World Food Program, with the United Nations in Geneva, with the other countries, Canada played a major role because we're used to working collaboratively with people, and we can usually get everybody to work together.
Wow. Now, you ran for the leadership, and I remember asking you then, and I'll ask you the same question now. How did all those life experiences prepare you for life in politics, and have you been disappointed by the experience because you weren't an MP before?
No, but I think it's the idea, getting people to work collaboratively together, building a team.
It's like herding cats, though, isn't it, a bit? It's not like flying in a
No, you're
Air
right.
Force.
There is a little bit of that, and there is a challenge every day when it comes to getting people to work as a team. But it's the same principles you use, and that is that growing that credibility, getting people to see that it can be so much more effective if we find a way to work together.
And you've got enemy combatants across the aisle of Commons, just like
I must admit there are days. Question period is not my favorite.
Okay, you ran for the Liberal leadership. Are you happy with the current one who beat you?
Oh,
Justin Trudeau?
Absolutely. You know, I tell people the same thing. My heart said I needed to do it because we needed a good race. We needed a good race based on policies and based on what we needed to do to build this country back up. And I think we got that. And I'm entirely happy. I'm so thrilled. And I think the rest of the country is now to have a prime minister like Justin Trudeau.
I guess that was a silly question. You weren't going to say anything else. But anyway, having said that, let's move into how you've brought, you're in the Parliamentary Secretary to Veterans Affairs and linked to the Defense as well as the Parliamentary Secretary to the Associate Minister. Tell us how do you deal with the fact that you know what needs to be done, but sometimes that clashes with political realities? Obviously more benefits for veterans, obviously better equipment for the military. How do you make that happen?
It's about finding out what the priorities are. You can't do everything, but find out where the needs are and make sure that those needs are addressed. And I think the biggest thing I bring to this is I know what questions to ask. I might not have all the answers, but I know what questions need to be asked, and that will help us make those better decisions.
And you know a lot more needs to be done, though, on both fronts, both
Sure.
in defense and, I mean, how old is this thing? You said it's
50
years old?
Yes.
We need new ones, right?
Oh, we've got some new ones, but we could probably use some more for sure.
All right.
Especially with our country, and if climate change pans out the way they're saying, our Arctic will become more and more accessible and will need to be there even more.
Absolutely. All right, here's the trick question. We always ask it. Tell me something about Karen McCrimmon that not everyone knows. I mean, we know your history in the flying circle. Tell us about something about you that I don't know, for example.
Okay, I thought about this. I have more takeoffs in this aircraft than I have landings.
Huh? How?
How about that?
How?
Working with the Canadian Parachute Center in Trenton when I was a squadron commander, and they invited me to go up and do a tandem jump doing military free fall parachuting from 10,000 feet. So I went out with them and I got to walk off the back of my own airplane at 10,000 feet and then parachute with them. And it was a thrill of a lifetime.
I assume someone took your seat for the landing, though.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. Pleasure chatting with you, Karen. I appreciate you coming on in Commons Folk. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks, Don.